Good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait, thanks for joining us here on Northwest Access TV. And happy to have for the first time in quite a while the Village people, the Swanton Village folks joining us today. Adam Paxman, the longtime Swanton Village trustee. Bill Sheets, the Swanton Village manager. Good to see you, folks. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Boy, where to start? I guess hard for me not to go back to the last town meeting. Big vote. You guys put so much effort into trying to get information out about the public safety building, and boy, it just sounds like you ran into sticker shock, a decisive defeat. Bill, I'm sure you could probably spend an hour talking about what you've done in the wake of that, but maybe starting with that. So in the wake of that defeat, you have some real needs, a very cramped police department. So what's going on?
Yeah, we have a lot of needs. It was a decisive vote against, and it turned out it just was too expensive. But the trustees were correct. We needed to determine what best fit the needs of the community we serve. They put it out there. We listened. So from that, it was about a 70-30 roughly vote against. And
is that about what you expected, Adam? You didn't have any hope that was going to pass, did you?
I was optimistic,
Really?
cautiously optimistic.
Really?
Yeah.
So were you really? Bill, were you?
I believed I called it 70-30.
Is that right?
Exactly
I think
where,
you did.
Exactly where it ended up.
Yeah,
Yep.
I thought I gave it zero chance. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I was probably guessing maybe 2-1.
No, I mean 70% against. I was right where I thought it was
I
going to
hear
be. It's an interesting concept. It was just too much risk for the village for sure.
Yeah.
What we took from that though is we listened what they wanted us to do, and we heard from these. We had 30 some odd public information sessions.
Yeah, it sounds like you gave it a tremendous
We
effort.
did, and we repeatedly heard the same message. Well, why don't you consider moving the Swanton Village electric department next door and renovating our existing space to accommodate the needs of the police department?
Okay.
That is now exactly 100% what we're trying to do. So
Do
we're right.
you need voter? Will there be another issue on a town meeting on
We
that?
do based on the cost. So March 5th, we'll go back to a bond vote. We have selected a construction manager after a RFP process. It's Connor Contracting right here in St. Albans. We had our first meeting with them actually this morning. So we're really now trying to identify minimum standards for an electric department, but a building that will meet the needs of everybody for the next 50 years.
Wow.
So that includes moving all of our front office personnel, including myself, over next door, and then hopefully downstream renovating that space that becomes vacant for a modernization of our police department.
Interesting. Have we got a rough dollar figure on the bond for March, or too early?
We would like to be under $10 million, but it's we have not gotten that granular yet.
Right. And the project that went down to defeat this last March was not 19 mil?
No,
14.8.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was originally about 19,
Right.
and you got it down to.
Yeah.
Correct.
So at least you're below that by several $1 million. Huh?
Yeah, and the benefit this time is it's a different cost structure. So we have $400,000 set aside from an expiring bond from the hydroelectric plant. So we have $400,000 a year to put at a 20 or 30 year bond.
Yeah.
That's going to meet the needs of a significant chunk of that amount. Additionally, we have 3,800 ratepayers instead of 1,600 village taxpayers.
Yeah.
So it's a much more equitable cost sharing. Plus, we still enjoy having the third lowest rate, electric rate in the state of Vermont.
Yeah.
So even if we go up marginally, we're going to be far below the vast majority of even other municipal power providers.
Interesting. Has any of that work started now, or you need voter approval on the bond to do what you're talking about doing?
Yeah, we need voter approval, and then that's going to be the confusing part for our citizens. I'd love to be able to say that the trustees can sit in front of anybody and say, okay, we're at 11.5 cents per kilowatt hour for a residential rate.
Yeah.
After this, we are going to be at exactly this. It's much more complex than that. We have to use Vermont Public Power Supply Authority, who really is our consortium to identify and help us build a rate case.
Yeah.
Go to the Public Utility Commission, and then the Public Utility Commission in recent times have really given folks up to 50% of what they're asking. So we will definitively be able to say your rates are going to raise, but not exactly how much.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the challenge. We just there are some gray areas that, until we get through steps A, B, and C, until then, we just can't provide some exact number.
You're obviously getting some feedback. Some people are getting, obviously, some information about this. Are you starting to get a better feel that you've got at least a shot to get this through as opposed to what happened in March? Or
so
still early?
much of a different approach.
Yeah.
I think there's a recognition that we have one of the best electric departments in the state of Vermont. I really think
Sounds like
that's
you
true.
could make that case pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean it's not just our low rates; it's our efficiency, our effectiveness, our response times across the board. And people recognize that we need room to grow, and it all comes down to the people that we employ.
Yeah,
we got a great crew.
Yeah.
Speaking of the electric department, that brings to mind, of course, your good friends at FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and the state regulators. How are you faring with the relicensing? That's ongoing, and it will be for a while.
We continue to pay for the requisite studies that are required both on the state level for our 401, which precedes your FERC relicensing.
Yeah.
But for the public, we are running on a license that it's a continuation. Essentially, it goes year by year, but it automatically renews at this point as long as we're meeting the standards that we continue to meet. So we're running with the requirements of our old license, which allows us to peak, move our pond above the dam, up and down at certain times to peak power.
Yeah.
That's so critically important for us moving forward and our ratepayers. The inability to peak and meet demand using Mother Nature's bounty, water, is crippling. It would literally cost us some years hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million or more, in our inability to produce electricity if we're not allowed to do that. We're concerned that the state of Vermont, not FERC, but the state of Vermont wants us to run a river and not have that ability to peak, pond, and produce power when we most need it.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned that same issue before. It sounds like you're having just a tougher time dealing with the state than with the feds on this.
I think it's fair,
I think it's fair. There are times where, those three trustees will sit in our meeting, we'll hear what Bill has to say, and we just kind of scratch our heads. And, I don't understand why, water is not a renewable energy.
Yeah.
I just can't put my hand around that, It's a renewable energy, and yet, they want to, if they make us do run of river, it really could, put us out of business. That's my fear, is it could put us out of business, but we're going to fight the good fight. We're going to fight for our ratepayers, and we're going to do what we feel is right for them.
And can the state make you? I mean, could the state have the final say? I mean, could they make you do run of the river?
Yeah, there's an appeals process. We're going to hope that there's a negotiation period. Once we have explored and met all of the mandates, studies, downstream impact to the environment, species, things like that, at some point the state will say, okay, it is time to consider this case, and that's probably within a year from now. So at that point, we're hoping to have that ability to negotiate in good faith and come up with something that's reasonable for everybody.
Did the license, as I vaguely recall, did your license actually expire back in the spring, and now or like a year ago or something? And now,
April of 24.
April of 24.
But now it's renewed.
Okay.
Not by FERC. It's renewed annually as long as you're meeting certain criteria.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah, and we have FERC come in once, at least twice a year now.
Yep.
And they're very pleased with what we're doing. They feel we're very good stewards of the river.
Yeah.
And I think they'd like to see us continue.
Do you follow other states, or other states, out of curiosity, in New England? Do you know, running into the same issue about run of the river? Is these issues that come up in others? Is this just Vermont, or this is an issue, or do you not know?
I can only say anecdotally from conversations with our FERC attorney, who really represents different communities throughout New England and even beyond that. I would say that we're one of the more restrictive states in the nation as it as it relates to that.
Yeah.
I suspect some people out there might not be stunned to hear that about Vermont when you mention that.
Right.
It's right. Enosburg Falls, are they also going through relicensing right now? Their municipal utility.
Yeah. So Enosburg Falls, Morrisville, and the Village of Swanton are the three of the muni powers that are all are running on expired licenses.
So again, you need to get re-upped by the state. It's year to year by the state.
No, that's also a process that happens. It's concurrent with the FERC process. So once you get through your 401 and you get re-upped by FERC for a determinate amount of time, 30, 40, 50 years, you're good to go again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And once if you get the renewed license, which obviously you're working hard at, is that 25 years for what that's?
It depends. We would shoot for 40 or 50.
Oh, really?
It might be less.
Interesting. I'm sure I've mentioned before, I can literally remember the late great Orman Croft, calling me, I don't know, circa 1980 sometime with news, Richard, we finally got the FERC relicensing.
Yep. Nice.
The hydro plant itself is in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it's doing well. You know, there are some upgrades we'd like to, work with or work on, and we just we've got a great crew up there. You know, they're just phenomenal. They're doing everything they can to make as much power as they can and keep the lights on for folks. Yeah, they're just doing a great job.
The bladder dam, if I got the right term for that, the bladder dam's doing okay. I check it out once in a while when the river's showing some life.
Yep, it's doing great.
Yeah, and you said that's the biggest such dam, and
it's the longest.
The longest,
and
in the country or New England or.
I want to say in the country.
In the country,
220 feet.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Boy, for folks, when the river's raging, just to walk on the bridge next to that's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Gotten some of my friends up there to check that out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boy, not a lot of precip. I was just down in southern New England a bit, talking about drought conditions down there. I guess not as bad around here. And I noticed Burlington weather data. Burlington's right where it should be year to date, precipitation-wise, which seems a little weird to me. And so I'm down on Lake Champlain. You can just about walk from Camp Kilcare State Park out to Mosquito Island without getting your feet wet.
Right.
You know how low the lake is.
Yeah.
It's very low. It's been a tough fall for hydro production.
Yeah.
We take advantage when the last rainstorm we got and the snow melt. We take advantage where we can, but it's not where it normally is.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Question as a weather, I pay a lot of attention to the weather, former cooperative observer for the Weather Service. I see at least Channel 3 will always mention Highgate, I assume an official temp. Is that from do you know where that's from? Is
it from the airport? That's my guess.
Maybe.
That's my guess.
The airport. I've always wondered, who the Phantom Observer is. They make it sound like it's official data, but so maybe the airport.
I would assume they would keep official data, so that would be my guess.
That's
but I'm not sure.
probably a good guy.
Yeah, it is a state airport. So.
Yeah, and speaking of the airport, probably a good topic to jump into. Water sewer lines extension, that work is ongoing as we speak.
It's ongoing.
Got off to a late.
Very excited about the whole thing, and what a nice collaboration between two communities.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Highgate and Swanton working together. If you look at everything that Highgate went through coming to Swanton and Highgate having discussions and getting to the point where we've got water and wastewater up to the airport.
Yeah.
It's an amazing, event. Event's probably not the right word, but it's amazing how it came about, and it's going to grow this community. It's going to grow Highgate, going to grow Swanton. It's going to grow Franklin County.
It sounds like there's a lot of. I've got some friends I've got one good friend who's a critic of all this, but anyway, I'm concerned about a lot more train traffic. But you see a lot of potential for this.
I see a lot of potential. Yeah. There is talk about small cargo planes coming in, maybe a UPS or FedEx.
Yeah. We
don't know. That's Highgate's business, or the state's business, whoever owns the land.
Yeah.
But, the fact that we've got the opportunity to have jobs in our backyard. Even St. Albans, St. Albans to Highgate Airport, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
It can only benefit the community and the county.
Yeah.
It really can.
I know Tim Smith, of course, mayor of St. Albans, his day job, Franklin County Industrial Development Corp., but he's just been saying for years if we could just only convince, a portion of the commuters going to the Burlington area every day, hey, folks, we have jobs up here. Why don't you save some time? And obviously, if the airport project works out.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I really am. And everything that we're doing in the village, in a sense, we have an eye on that. On the what's the word I'm looking for? We have an eye on that project with what we're doing. We know this area is going to grow. So what we need to do is we need to look ahead and say, okay, how do we grow with it? Yeah. And the electric building is one. Revamped police department is one. It's all sorts of things.
Unfortunately, I guess the most obvious casualty that comes to mind is Franklin County Field Days.
Yeah.
I guess those folks were hoping, maybe against hope, for getting another year, but I guess I haven't heard definitive. It just sounds like Field Days may well be history out there.
It could be. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And it sounds like I'm not aware of much progress on finding another site. And boy, the cost of replicating what's at the airport now is, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I would think they'd move all the buildings that they could, and and personally, for me, I don't understand why they have to move.
Yeah.
It's on the other side.
Yeah.
But it's right now. It's not our fight.
Yeah.
We'll sit on the sidelines, and if asked for input, we'll give it.
The water sewer lines are being extended from MVU to the airport. Is that where the extension is, Bill?
Correct. Okay. So Highgate came to our trustees, the select board. We're crafting an MOU where we will have full responsibility for the first year that they're in existence. Should kick in about June of this year. For the first year, so meaning we'll take care of all hookups, we'll take care of all billing, all of those types of things. And then once it's debt-free, after 1 year, they want us to assume ownership of the water line, which makes sense, right? We have the infrastructure to support that. They don't. So that it's a great collaboration. Like Adam said, this is exactly what you're looking for when you're working with neighboring communities.
There was a delay with the extension of the water and sewer lines, Bill. I think there was a delay. What was the problem with that?
I think it's really just a number of things. It's permitting, it's engineering, it's bidding. It's like we talk about all the time. What we're planning for today in various projects is going to happen in 3 to 5 years. Yeah. That's really what you have to keep in mind.
Is that right? So 3 to 5 years is
depending on what you're talking about. But even something like we're doing a whole bunch of things downtown in various iterations, and each planning phase. From the minute you apply for a grant to the time you put a shovel in the ground is at least 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the reality. But as long as you know that and you keep pace, it's okay. It becomes expected. It becomes reasonable.
When will the construction work? When do you see that being finished up?
For our downtown?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. For the water and sewer line extension to the airport.
June of this year. Of next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They've already tapped into.
And they're going right through winter, not taking winter?
No, they're taking a big break. They expedited work, and now you're going to see very little activity.
Okay, doesn't make sense to keep going in winter.
Right. Yeah, because the sewer line went down to the off ramp in Swanton.
Oh, okay.
So they've already gotten that far, and then they'll have to backtrack, and then bring everything right to the airport.
Okay. I guess this was a Swanton town issue more than the village, or just a town issue, but the proposed rec path from MVU to the at least Swanton Village limits, and I guess that's not happening, or I guess the select board backed off that. Any reaction? Would you have liked to have seen that? Were you sad that project went away, or any?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
seems like
right
something
now
should have been done.
The kids
back
have
in
an avenue,
to
the high school without having to go up 78.
Yeah.
So, and it was a lot of money, and nowadays when you start talking about money, when it becomes a lot of money, a lot of people, are going to sit tight and say, So
Yeah. No, money comes into play.
it really
all over
does.
The place.
It really does. I mean, we saw firsthand with the public safety building.
Yeah.
We went from 19.5 to 14.8, and
Yeah. Still
we
took a
still
beating.
lost, 7 out of 10. So, but like Bill said, we listened, and we're gonna do our due diligence this time. We're gonna do a better job, and we're gonna come back to the community with what we think that they're gonna agree with.
Yeah. Talking about downtown, health of downtown, is there kind of a comprehensive study going on now, or something going on about kind of helping to revitalize downtown? Seems
So
like I've seen some references to
Yeah,
that.
I think we're way beyond the study part. So there was a scoping study before my arrival. I've been in the position 2 years. Since that time, we have received grant funding, $300,000 with a $75,000 match.
Wow.
We used ARPA for that match. That's for the streetscapes directly in front of Merchants Row, the buildings. And then there's really 3 other additional areas of concentration. We, with ARPA funds, the trustees approved buying 74 Merchants Row. So that's if you're looking at the buildings, the left side, the municipal parking lot,
Yeah.
we used to lease the space. We have $30,000 to put toward a engineering study. We really want to expand that and make up to 25 to 27 parking spots, a couple of EV chargers. Continuing down the back of the park, Church Street, the trustees approved. We received a roughly $438,000 grant with a roughly $128,000 match. That is slated we're just in the early engineering studies, which means shovel in the ground is 2 years away.
Yeah.
And then the final piece will be, it's up for consideration at the next trustees meeting. Trustees have to decide whether or not they want us to apply for a grant, because you have to confirm ability to meet match, of up to $600,000 for Canada Street. So that's really to do a good job with the streetscapes, bumping out the sidewalk, changing the traffic configuration in front of the parts store, Green Mountain Bistro, and Bees on Broadway.
That's right. But that's a ways down the road.
That would be 28, 29. Yeah,
Really?
that's how it generally tends, about 3 years away each time you approve it.
Makes me think of the highway bridge issue. I think I've incorrectly on the show made a few references to the Vermont 36 highway bridge. I guess Vermont 78 would be and
Bridge
of course you
number
had
7.
you had your project this summer, and I guess that went pretty well when you had to detour
we had a
traffic.
great
Sounds like that
crew.
went about as well as it could have gone.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great crew. We anticipated 15 working days for closure. It was closed in 10 working days. They ended up a week early.
20 working days we thought, and it closed in 15.
Is that,
Okay.
is that right?
15. Just want to make
Nope,
sure.
So
I appreciate it.
5 days early.
5 days early.
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
So it was amazing. They did a great job. And then the next step, as you know, is the
need a
potential
replacement.
replacement and this, that, and the other. But I mean, we don't even know what is expected at this point. The state hasn't come back and said, we want to do, or we will do, based on what we know and what we've studied, whether it's going to go from the pillar or from the riverbed up, or if they're going to simply just do a deck. We don't know. It all depends, and the price tag to the village residents all depends on what the state says.
How much the local share of that, is that not even clear? The local
It's
share of
not.
that project
It
would be
Could
done-
be anywhere from 2.5% to 10%.
So no more than 10%, presumably,
Which is still
which is still
$1
obviously
significant
$1 million
significant.
if you're talking a $10 million bridge.
And that's what it sounds like, about a $10 million bridge?
that's between
Rough,
8
rough.
and 10, depending
Yeah.
on the scope.
Really?
We'll know more in
Yep.
February or March.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's something that's on people's minds right now, because we would need to determine, do we shut the bridge down again? How's it going to affect the downtown? And,
Yeah.
15 working days is a lot different than 45 regular days,
Yeah.
or 60 regular days. So, that all has to come into play.
So presumably this decade at some point for that project, or not necessarily that soon?
No, 2029.
So
Is-
2029.
Yeah,
So
they're holding to
end of
that date.
Okay, they are.
Yep.
Wow. So not clear whether, not clear, would the new bridge be in the same spot or just next to it, or is that not clear? And could traffic continue over the old bridge until the new one's built, or just don't know?
No clue until they come to us
No
in
clue.
March.
Wow.
In all likelihood, it'll be
Yeah.
a deck replacement of the existing bridge.
Yeah,
That's our hope.
That's our hope.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you've held on Marble Mill Park. Marble Mill Park. You have some thoughts on bringing that back to more life, but kind of holding off because of the bridge project, or am I wrong about
No,
that?
the trustees have been great. A lot of little projects. That's one of them. So we made some improvements to the surface of the tennis court, in particular for the Pickleball Nation.
Yeah.
That's frequently there.
Yeah,
We put additional lighting in. We put the infrastructure for the new tennis courts lights in. They'll be done maybe this winter, but no later than the spring. And then we're working on identifying a much more effective security and surveillance environment for our parks to include Marble Mill. Really need to dissuade some of the things that we see happening.
yeah. So pickleballs, you get a lot of activity in
Oh my
warmer
gosh.
weather.
Yeah, I worked down at the chamber office this summer,
Yeah.
and when the bridge was closed, we had people driving up, and
Yeah.
they're like, "I'm trying to get to Marble Mill,"
Yeah.
you know, go around, you know. But it's a popular sport, and
It
it's
is.
a great spot for them.
Yeah.
It's a great spot for them.
I'm finally getting back into more tennis at Collins Pearly in St. Albans, and we have many pickleballers. There are still a few tennis players, but now pickleball's become incredibly popular. You guys pickleball? Any pickleball players here?
Couldn't tell you anything about it.
Kind of, but
Kind of?
nah. I would lose to the worst player that's there regularly. Put it that way.
Bill, any coaching? Are you off season now for your, again, great effort by, of course, state champion girls softball team?
Yeah, it's off season, but what I'm learning is it's really special.
Never
when,
totally off season for the kids
no,
anyway.
but it's really special when you win it once every 30 years. So the trustees were great. They just allowed me to move a trustee meeting so that I could attend the banner unveiling on December 23rd, and then we have to
really?
go to the State House, I think, on January 24th.
Really?
So really special for this group. You know, we're a small D2 size school, living briefly in the Division I softball world still. So this is really special because it's hard. We're up against far superior numbers and typically talent, but
And of course, you beat BFA in the semifinals.
we were very fortunate to beat an outstanding BFA team.
Yeah. Hey, good for you guys. And you'll be back next season, I trust. You and your wife will be
Unless I
back?
get fired prior to that, both myself, my wife Connie, Emily Bordeaux, and Megan Rowell will all be returning as coaches.
Hey, good for you guys. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yep, absolutely.
You fared better, talking about the project that went down to a decisive defeat at March Town Meeting. You fared better before that with the upgrade of the wastewater facility. Does that work? That was a multi-million-dollar project, correct?
Yeah, it's well underway. So, in fact, today we have the closeout meeting for our $2.4 million water line project.
And I
at,
should just note
Foundry
quickly,
Street.
we're taping this show on Thursday, December 5th.
Yep.
Okay. So again, today something's going on.
So today we, right after this at 2:30, we have our closeout meeting with GW Tatro and our engineer on the $2.4 million project for the water line. So that's done in the books. We are month 4 of 16 into our wastewater project, and that is roughly an $8.6 million project.
Wow.
Right now, for today,
Yeah.
on time and on budget.
Right.
For
today.
right now. For right now.
For right now.
Long ways to go.
And again, the state was giving mandates or directives to municipal wastewater facilities or the folks in charge to reduce phosphorus. That was one of the issues that played into that project.
Yeah, aging plant. A lot of our things, to include our centrifuge, our centrifuge has failed.
Yeah.
So that's down. And the centrifuge basically is a fancy way of saying it's our ability to take sludge that makes it through the entire system, dewaters it, and then we land apply it. So we land applied just recently on our acreage up on Woods Hill. it's very regimented testing process, but we were allowed to land apply 237 tons. If we had to outsource that,
Wow.
that would have cost close to $90,000
Really?
to bring it out of state. So it's a benefit we often hear from some of our citizens. Why do we own nearly 100 acres on Woods Hill Road? That's
Yeah.
exactly why.
why.
It's saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars
Wow.
through the years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when that project, has that still got a ways to go, the wastewater facility upgrade?
Current ending date's December 15th of 2025.
Well, it's another year
Full
or
year.
so.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
What about the municipal water? How are you doing with the water plant on McQuam Shore Road? Is that in decent shape?
Yeah, it's good, just like anything else. So that's about,
That's got some years on it.
It
I can
does.
remember when that
Yeah.
went in, I think.
so it's in
But
the
it was
stage.
upgraded about 13 years ago.
Yeah.
It was
Yes.
just when I first came on the
Mhm.
board.
Yeah.
It was upgraded.
Yeah.
So, and it's been running good. We've had our hiccups here and there, but
Yeah.
you know, we're doing a great job there. And, you know, I hate to beat a dead horse, but it's all about the people you've got in
Yeah.
It
place
is.
with it. You know, I mean, we have such a tremendous crew. You know, and it's very family oriented. It's I can't even explain it. You know, we've got a dedicated group of people that are making the village work, you know, round the clock. And, you know, on behalf of the trustees, I thank them all. So,
The low lake level, obviously the intake is, that's not an issue. Presumably Lake Champlain's not going to keep dropping off by many feet. Is that ever an issue?
If it's ever low enough that it impacts our intake,
We're
we
all
are
in tough
we
shape.
are in trouble.
We're hurting you.
No, it's fine. It's designed that way to meet the highs and the
Yeah.
lows, and you know the impact usually is when it gets warm out, turbidity issues.
Right.
There's issues that impact it, but above and beyond routine maintenance and replacing a few things here and
Yeah.
there, it is a fine-tuned operation right now.
Yeah. How'd you fare this last summer? I can think of, I used to log some time out on McQuam Bay there. And there was certainly concern on homeowners with just algae bloom stuff coming up on the lake. How'd you fare this last summer? Was that
I
of
don't
course,
know
this
that
is
we
more of
had
a
any
Swanton
issues.
town issue,
Yeah.
obviously, than a village issue, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know that we had any issues with
Yeah.
regards to the water quality or anything like
Yeah.
that. I don't know how the algae blooms worked out this past summer.
Yeah, it sounds like
You
it was
know.
kind of a typical. I get the Lake Champlain Committee's weekly reports on cyanobacteria. Sounds like that's an issue. It seems like I don't hear quite as much about Lake Champlain water quality issues as I used to,
Right.
but you still.
Yeah, no, we have to do certain monitoring in front of our plant, but we are responsible for the beach. So that is
Okay,
that's
you
an
have the
entity
beach.
that we
Yep.
actually own, even though
Right.
it's in the town.
Right.
It was a very wet summer,
Yeah.
high water all year long. I live on the lake, and then in the falls when it. So I think the problems were less impactful this year than in past years.
Wow. Well, speaking of the lake, I noticed I got a pretty serious fire yesterday, December 4th, out in. Is that still your neighborhood? My old neighborhood.
It's close to my
Lakewood
neighborhood.
Drive.
It's very tragic.
What did we lose? In fact, was there one person killed?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, the person was recovered today, and I grew up on that road, and I was
Wow.
quite close at one time through the
Right.
high school days with that family. It's very,
Right.
very tragic.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Any early indication as to the cause of that fire?
I have not heard.
Sure, under investigation, I can only assume.
I just our fire
That's tough.
department did a tremendous response, and again,
Wow.
we're so fortunate. Somehow we remain fully staffed, really trained, well equipped,
Yeah.
in an all volunteer
So
environment.
all volunteer.
And they were one of 9 agencies to respond yesterday.
Is that right?
And, yeah,
Even some from across north of the border, even.
oh
too, or-
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. New York was there.
Wow.
Canada came to provide redundant coverage
Wow.
for us, and it's that
That's
fire
impressive.
community. And I always worry about them. That was my last call before I pulled into the parking
Really?
lot. Was with the chief, Dan Chevalier.
Wow.
In my time and my career, I've seen lots of things
Yeah.
that stick with you.
Yeah.
And fatalities at fires are certainly one of those.
Right,
So they'll avail themselves to critical incident stress debriefings, and and things like that. But can't say enough about their work. Tremendous job.
Right.
Absolutely.
So again, still an all-volunteer department. The
It is.
firefighters, I assume, get stipends or something if they're actually called out and stuff. Do they get a few bucks anyway? Or?
They get minimum wage.
Is that right? Minimum
when
wage. That's
when
all.
they get in the truck,
Wow.
and it stops the minute they get back to the station.
Wow. So
Other
we're
than that,
talking volunteer.
100% volunteer.
Wow.
Selfless.
Staffing, how are you doing staffing? Is staffing okay for
Staffing
the
is good
fire
with the fire
department?
department. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Really?
is. There are, oh gosh, what'd they say, 24, 26
Yeah, I think-
firefighters,
I think
active
24.
firefighters. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Is that right?
So,
Because that sounds like that's an issue for just a lot of departments, EMS folks.
it's
that.
EMS,
Yeah.
fire, police,
Yeah.
right down the line. And
With that being said, if there are fire cadets out there
Yeah,
that want to come in and learn the trade, any age for that matter,
love to see them.
there's a few openings, and we're always looking, and that's been really successful. And that's in Adam's shop under his purview. But
Huh.
we've had really good success in the last 3 to 5 years with cadet program.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Adam, how long for you as a village trustee now?
finishing up my 14th year
Wow.
come March, and next.
Are you up? Who's up in March for election wise?
Gene is.
Yeah.
Yep, Gene LeBombard
Is
is.
he indicated? Is Gene hoping to hang?
He hadn't said any words,
Yeah.
so we plan on him being there next year if he's voted in.
Boy, that's a long time. That's a ton of public service.
It's and people always asking me, are you going to run for re-election? It's like, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
I love my community, and one, it's not time, so
Yeah.
I've got a year. Things change in a year, but I love my community. We're doing so much good, and I want to continue to be part of it.
Yeah. Have things changed? Has your job, just village, running the village, gotten a lot more complicated over the years? Does it seem, if you can go back to your early years as a village trustee, is it a lot different these days, or not hugely so?
I don't think it really is.
Yeah.
There's challenges that get presented to us,
Yeah.
and it's all in how we handle them.
Yeah.
Every year. I mean, we had, and I don't even like to bring it up, but when we had the art wall fiasco,
Who could forget that?
who could forget that? And but we got through it, and everybody is better for it.
Yeah.
It was funny because I saw a commercial on TV the other night, and they talk about time out on hate, and that's that kind of resonated with me. It's time for a time out on hate. Let's all work together. We're all adults. We can have civil conversation.
Yeah.
We don't always have to agree, but at the end of the day, we're all adults, and we should be all getting along with each other.
Yeah. Well, St. Albans City and Town certainly seem to be doing a lot better these days, and I think even with the wastewater issue, which I hate to think how much that costs those communities, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they even had cooperation on some, but they're doing better. But Swanton Village and Town, sounds like you folks fare pretty well together.
We're doing really good together.
Still get together for joint meetings once in a while. Does that happen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I think we'd like to have them a little more often than a couple, 3 times a year, but it's schedules. Everybody, I'm a village trustee, but I'm also president of the Chamber of Commerce, and I have certain things that go on at church, and it's hard sometimes just to get people into a meeting room all together,
Sure.
and with your schedule, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So, but we're all working together. If the town needs an excavator, we help them out. We don't, we're one Swanton, but we're 2 entities.
Yeah. I suspect you have just an occasional phone conversation with your counterpart in the town, Bill, Mr. Savage, just once in a while.
I gotta give a shout out to Brian. I love our relationship. I rely on him for a lot of issues, and hopefully vice versa. We're there's not a week goes by. Sometimes it's every day, but there's a lot of things that we have in common that we're working on and collaborating on.
Merger? Anybody? Am I the only person who ever asks you folks about merger? Does that issue come up once in a while? Anybody?
No, not really.
much?
I mean, the real bottom line is if the town and the village did merge,
Yeah.
the village taxpayers would see a very good decrease in their property
Yeah.
taxes. The town would be very unhappy.
Right.
And
I guess same with St. Albans City and
right,
town, I guess.
right.
Yeah.
So, at that point, we don't even discuss it.
Yeah.
It's not, everybody's riled up enough to have, when it comes to taxes. So,
Work underway on next year's budget, I can only assume. Well underway.
It is. We'll have a public dialogue about that on Monday night at the
Yeah.
trustees meeting next Monday night.
Yeah.
The usual pressures, right? There's some uncontrollables. In health insurance, I guess we're fortunate that we have MVP because it's a 12% increase,
Is that right?
roughly.
And a lot of people would probably kill for a 12% increase these days.
There are some that are larger. We
Yeah.
have your normal cost of living adjustments and some things like that. We got a real dialogue to have about police and how to right size that budget, right? The trustees are going to have a decision to make because the comparison is St. Albans City because same county, same prosecutorial issues, things like that. So we have to get that right size. We're mindful that it's not just salary, it's facilities, salary, it's how your community treats you. That's the only opening we have. So we have 42 full-time employees. We have one full-time opening in the police, and that's in large part because we simply don't want to settle. We're not just going to fill the seat to fill the seat.
Right.
We want the right person in that seat. So
just one opening on Swanton PD at this point?
Correct.
Because you've said in the past, often said, I think it was the only fully staffed.
I can't say it anymore.
But you're not far from that.
No, we have one vacancy. But with that being said, we did add an administrative assistant. We moved Officer Don Gilbert from an administrative role to the road. That's helped some. I think we're one away from being able to really be at that point where maybe our chief can take a day off or two on the weekends.
Yeah.
That remains a concern. But no, it's a great organization. I'm confident that we will be able to fill that position and continue to excel.
Obviously, far be it for me to speak for the chief, but I would take a wild guess that he's probably not giving too much thought to trying to get back to his old employer in Burlington. But
I would be remiss if I didn't ask that question of him directly, and he has assured me that he's very happy where he is.
Yeah. Or John, I've never met John Murad, the now outgoing Burlington chief personally, but that he hung in as long as he did kind of blows my mind.
Exceptional
and of
guy.
course, your guy was number two
Yep.
in the Burlington PD.
No, the Burlington chief, high caliber, high quality guy. He's gonna be missed.
Yeah. And of course, Bill, with your long Vermont State Police background, VSP doing it just sounds like labor shortage, staff shortages for so many folks. State Police doing any better? I know you mentioned, I think, figures before, how many troopers there down statewide. Things don't get, or they just don't get any better?
I think they're marginally better. I think they just graduated a good bunch here just last week.
In fact, I just drove through Pittsford yesterday, in fact.
But that being said, I think they range probably in the 50 to 60 range for vacancies right now, out of a sworn force of 327.
Wow.
So they're it is. So the other day, just to see how our posting looked for our vacancy, I went on the criminal justice website. There are 49 full-time law enforcement agencies in the state of Vermont that are actively recruiting for full-time people.
49. And that's most of their not. And that's how many there are in Vermont, I assume? It's just about everybody?
There's maybe 51.
So just about everybody is looking.
Yeah, I think Newport's still fully staffed, and that's about it. I hate to use the word crisis.
Yeah.
Law enforcement in the state of Vermont, much like New England and the nation, is nearly at a crisis point.
Yeah, I hear you. Border issues, certainly the northern border, the southern border gets so much understandably attention, but we're just apprehensions way up on the northern border. Seeing anything in Swanton? I know there have been some media stories in the past, I think, noting Swanton and Alberg, but border issues in terms of folks, wandering across the border. Any Swanton Village? Has that been any issue in Swanton Village?
I don't think so.
Probably not in the village, I guess.
It's we always preach to the community, if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
So, if we're not seeing it, it's not that it's not happening.
Yeah.
We're just not seeing it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if that's the right answer, but, that's the answer I'm going to run with.
We're Northern Border getting a lot. I think the apprehensions in
crazy.
the last fiscal year, 19,000?
Yeah.
Richard Ross of Border Patrol, who I'm hoping to interview here.
Nice.
And I think I heard him at one of the ALA UVM lectures, and great lecture, but the stats were incredible. Sounds like those guys are.
And we do
real
partner, for the record, we do partner with Border Patrol very closely.
Yeah.
We rely on each other. We work Operation Stone Garden.
Yeah.
So that's a force multiplier for them. And for us, they purchased us a boat,
Oh,
a
really?
cruiser,
Huh.
a pickup truck,
Wow.
an ATV,
Wow.
all with no restrictions that we can use to respond to anything with.
Interesting.
So really beneficial for both sides, that
Yeah.
relationship.
Interesting. I noticed the LOT, local option tax, and I'd certainly asked you folks about that in the past. And again, it sounds like it was a pretty complicated situation. You decided not to pursue that, or?
Yeah, I think we need to have conversations with our legislators.
Yeah.
There's too much gray area.
I mean, part of it was a village-town issue. Is just kind of complicated, or?
Yeah, I mean, if the village went in and did a local option tax,
Yeah.
and the town went in behind, if the village did 1% and the town did 1%, now the village is paying 2%.
Huh.
So it doesn't make sense. So there's some language in the laws that should be looked at with regards to that, and I think that's why Enosburg town.
Yeah, Enosburg
They backed out as well, and I think that's
probably.
probably why as well. It could be anyway.
Boy, I sure hear the St. Albans city and town officials all love the LOT. I mean, St. Albans town, of
we'd
course,
love it.
it's paying
Yeah.
for the pretty new public works facility, the
Yeah.
town hall.
Yep.
Love the concept. It could be as simple
Yeah.
as a tweak. Nobody thought that this would become an issue. The village town.
Is that right?
And we don't want to duplicate efforts. We want to make it clean. We want to make it permissible for us to assign a 1% tax if it's passed. If it's supported by the trustees with whatever constructs presented in 2026, we want to be able to just geofence and have it impact the village, but we want the town to be able to do it also. It's we're going to be faced with a decision of identifying either setting aside money for things like the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Bridge upgrade.
Yeah.
But that can be achieved through local option tax.
Yeah.
And I'm always struck by, I'll be at the bistro, the Green Mountain Bistro.
Yeah.
It's doing great. And I'll look, and the vast majority of the lunch traffic, they're not from downtown. They're not
Really?
from the village.
They're from out of town.
They're from out of town. A lot of them
Yeah.
are from St. Albans because
Yep.
I know them. They're from here. And
Yeah, I
that's
gotta
their
get up there.
that's their getaway.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Interesting.
why wouldn't we avail ourselves to them paying for a portion of these types of things? It's if it's done correctly, it seems to be a great thing. But yeah, I think the town is up north of 1.2 million a year now.
Huh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For St. Albans town.
Yeah. No, the city and town seem
Yeah.
to have done pretty well with that. Any other big issues we haven't talked about? It sounds like you have no lack of issues to deal with. Got about 10 minutes left.
I think I'd just like to shout out the revitalization of the downtown.
Yeah.
Do you
think
ever since
downtown
Ace
is
came in,
much better shape than it was?
Oh my gosh! It's. I mean, there's not an open storefront now on Merchants Row.
Huh.
We've got a brand new restaurant, a brand new bakery.
Yeah.
We've got Bees on Broadway. And back when Ace came in, the trustees said, if you build it, they will come. And by God, they have. It's tremendous. I talked with a couple of businesses over the weekend, and the foot traffic was just insane. Throughout the village. People are having issues parking now. Who'd have thunk that 3 years ago?
It's nice to have a parking problem.
It's nice to have a parking problem,
It is.
and it's just it's not what it was like in the 50s, but we're not in the 50s anymore. We're getting Swanton Village into the 21st century. We're almost there, and when we get there, watch out.
Yeah.
You know, we have a great little area, you know, we're the 78 conduit to New York State and Boston. And it's, you know, the truck traffic challenges us, but it's not something that we're willing to back down on that challenge either. You know, we'll figure something out eventually. It may not be in our lifetime, but eventually something will give, and the truck traffic will change. But it's just amazing to see the number of people walking in and out of stores now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a long time, you know, and it's a great sight to see.
Yeah, truck traffic was on my agenda. We're talking about 17% of the traffic, I mean, almost 20% truck traffic going
Yeah, it's
through the
about,
village.
yeah, 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there.
I just forget.
You know?
I'm not up there, not in the village all the time, but once in a while.
Yep.
I've been around here for
Yep.
about half a century, and I'm still just struck when I'm there. I just kind of forget about the issue a little bit.
It's a lot of traffic. We could use, by the way, for
Yeah.
anyone listening at home, love to have a brewery, whether it's downtown or in Swanton town. The community likes beer, craft beer. It'd be another nice draw.
Boy, that makes me think, having just played tennis with a good guy, Rick Riani from Alberg, and just mentioned, is it Kin and Kramer, the
It's
folks?
Kramer and Kin,
Sorry, Kramer
and
and
I'm gonna miss them because
Interesting.
we live.
Any thought? Did you try? Did you
I tried.
maybe give him a call and tell him to come to
I spoke
Swanton?
directly to the owner, one of the owners, not Levi's sister, and I think they already have plans for the Champlain Islands, at least tentatively.
I guess the story I read, I guess in the Islander was they were looking for another place in North Hero, I guess. Or
Yeah, I would.
Islands.
Trust me, I would love to see them be in Swanton. That would be
that'd be a
really
great
nice
chance.
draw because that restaurant there, it was
Oh my
you got the brewery, I get it, but they had great food as well.
Yeah.
You haven't heard? Nobody's called you up with any interest in a brewery.
No, I'm waiting. Public,
Waiting.
please give us a call. Love
Interesting.
to have that conversation.
Ever talk with 14 Star? Could you maybe talk him into a satellite operation in Swanton? Or
Have not had that conversation, but would
Interesting
love to
idea.
have that. Yeah.
Interesting idea.
Any other? Hearing anything about any other new businesses making some noise about maybe coming into town, or not at this point?
Not at this point.
No.
And retail, not exactly the best days for retail these days, but
Right.
But again, it's, you know, I mean, Small Business Saturday was great for a lot of the businesses in the village, you know, and it's buying local. It's, you know, it's buying local and supporting these people that, you know, are your neighbors. I think that's the challenge.
Adam, again, taping the show on Thursday, December 5th in the afternoon. Is there a Christmas Swanton Village event coming up?
It happened this past Saturday.
Sorry, I thought it might have been this coming. And how'd that go?
I guess it went well.
Yeah.
I guess it went well. You know, the people that showed up had a great time. Kudos to the Swanton Chamber, Swanton Electric Department, Swanton Fire Department Auxiliary. You know, it was a collaborative effort, and it went well. So and again, it's all about collaboration. You know, a lot of organizations are trying to to make Swanton a better place, a place where people can come and enjoy themselves. Again, having the bakery and the restaurant doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I bet.
So, you know, but we've got the Swanton Chambers doing their annual Citizen of the Year award. That'll be given out, I think, either in February or March, and the voting on that will go on for this month and into next month, and then the panel will get together and we'll announce the Swanton Chamber Citizen or Business of the Year.
So the members of the Swanton Chamber are the ones who they vote on that and pick something?
Yeah, we have a 3 or 4 person committee that'll take all the entries, and they'll make a decision. They'll come back to the board, and then we'll go from there.
Bill, do you get together with your counterparts? I think you do once in a while around Franklin County or the state of Vermont, for that matter.
Yeah, we just had a statewide meeting with the administrators and managers. You know, I don't talk to Dominic Cloud as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
But occasionally work closely with Sean Atkins. But those guys are pros. You know, and Ryan, John DeSaro. Yeah, you name it. And we run in the same circles, so I'm pleased to be on the board of directors for Northern Vermont Economic Development. That regional meeting just occurred. Tim Smith and crew are part of that. And then some of them are also involved in VEPSA, the Public Power Municipality Association. So, couldn't do it without them. I'm still 2 years in. I would say that the new car smell is gone. So I know what the job entails for sure. But working with all of them, especially if it's an area where you just don't work it all the time, it's a phone call away. Everyone's very, very helpful.
Boy, 2 years in, sounds like there's no lack of things on your plate. Probably asked you before, has this been again, maybe you never know exactly what you're getting into, but has this been kind of way more complicated, or did you have a sense of what you were going to be getting into? I'm sure. Reg Beliveau,
Yeah, no, I thought I had a sense of it. I said, and it's memorialized in the Free Press. I said it was my dream job. It's still a dream job.
Yeah.
So 2 years in, I think the threat always is. I'll go to bat for our organization all day long. I am surrounded by talent. It's a little unwieldy. I have 9 direct reports.
Wow.
If any of them were weak, I could potentially struggle. They're all superstars, and they all represent their areas of interest. You know, because I'm not or never will be a subject matter expert in just water, wastewater, hydroelectric, electric, public
and this is
works.
stuff he would never dealt with a lot of this stuff ever
other than the people, leadership, budgets, grants. Those types of things, which I think you better have or you're not going to succeed. And I'm not suggesting that I'm successful, but I'm having a good time trying to navigate my way through this. And it's only any success is attributable to the crew, all 41 of them. Really, really good shop. I tell them all the time, I don't think they realize how special and how good they have it right now. You know, you spend 30 years in an organization and you go through periods where it's a great team, it's a great group, and then maybe 3-4 years, maybe not so much. We're firing on all cylinders, and it's in large part to the trustees. The trustees literally certainly hold me accountable, but allow me to lead and manage on a day-to-day basis. And the same thing, I allow my direct reports to do the same.
We have such a great crew. It's I
sounds
can't
like
I
a
can't say enough.
pretty stable crew. Huh?
Really is.
I mean, there's not one of them that won't go out of their way to help. You know, another department.
That's what I really truly enjoy. There's no stovepipes.
No.
On any given day, if something needs to be done, doesn't matter who it is, they rally.
Really?
Yep.
Down to about a minute and a half. Hotel Riviera, the former Hotel Riv. Anything to report on that site?
I'm glad you asked in case Neil Spears is watching.
and please say hi. Please say hi to Neil for me.
Well, you just did. You just did.
Neil
we sent out an RFP for interested parties to develop. We only got one interested party.
Really?
That's Habitat.
Oh, really?
I think they're waiting for the tweak in the zoning laws to improve the capability to scale up, and we still have remediation to do of brownfields.
Are you surprised you didn't have more interest from folks?
Not at all.
No?
No.
Just because it's not the easiest site to deal with, or?
It has to be a partnership with somebody willing to navigate those brownfield remediation area, and that's not an easy find.
That's tough, I bet.
Right.
Interesting. Well, I guess that's going to do it. Sounds like a lot of work coming up. We'll look forward to the annual village meeting. And but thanks for covering a lot of ground. Adam Paxman, the veteran, long time Swanton Village trustee, and Swanton Village manager Bill Sheets. So a couple of years on the job, Bill.
Yep.
Oh, good for you. Anyway, thanks for the time, gentlemen. Hope you have a good Christmas, and everybody out there.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Nice to see maybe a little snow on the ground for a change.
Yes.
And thanks always to my producer, Ellen Cunningham. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. Thanks for watching us here on Northwest Access TV. See you next time.